welcome to Yankees Old Timers Day. A beautiful day in the Bronx at Yankee Stadium as this long-standing tradition continues. A tradition dating back to 1941 when Lou Gehrig touched baseball fans everywhere. Today, the Yankees salute the World Championship team of 1978 as they take on selected members of the Kansas City Royals, Los Angeles Dodgers, and Boston Red Sox. 78, a dramatic season filled with like moments. The series in Boston, commonly known as the Boston Massacre. 4 days, 40 runs leading up to Bucky Dent's home run as he connects off Mike Torres. The Yankees, propelled into the World Series at one point, down 2-0 in the World Series, came back to win over the Los Angeles Dodgers 4-2. The 1978 New York Yankees are world champions. Hi again, everyone. I'm Dwayne Statz, along with Tony Kubek. Tony, a lot of great memories in store for us this afternoon. A lot of memories shared by the players from that 78 ball club.
You know, when you look at that team, you could arguably say it was one of the great teams of all time, not just because of the remarkable comeback and the Bucky Dent home run, but you look at the ability on that ball club with the Reggies and Catfish and Guidry and Gossage and Nettles, and on and on and on. I mean, even fringe players like Willie Randolph was a great player, really, on that ball club. They were not only talented, but they were so tough. Talking to Bob Lemon before the ball game, and he said, when I got the call from Al Rosen, who was told to call him early in August, George Steinbrenner said, call him. We need him. And when Al said, we need you to go to work, and he said, to do what? He said, to manage. And all Bob Lemon said was, when I got there, I had a little meeting, said, relax, guys. And he said, when I found out that Munson, who'd been playing right field, and Reggie were healthy, he said, I knew we were okay.
Well, the greatest comeback in American League history. In the middle of July, the club down by 14 games. They went on to become world champions. Right now, with more on this club, let's go to Bruce Beck.
Thank you, Dwayne. Old Timers Day has really been a Yankee tradition. Over the years, there have been many theatrics and also heartfelt emotion. And Old Timers Day of 1978 was really significant for another reason. First, let's consider some of the events which led up to it. The Yankees were struggling as a ball club. Catfish Hunter was not as sharp as he used to be. A lot of people were saying maybe Catfish Hunter was through. Reggie Jackson had been suspended early in the season for missing a bunt sign. And then, of course, there was Billy Martin. Billy Martin, who had made an ill-advised comment about the owner of the New York Yankees, George Steinbrenner, and their star player, Reggie Jackson. So on July 24th, 1978, Billy Martin resigned as New York Yankees manager. It was emotional.
I don't want to hurt this team's chances for the pennant. With the undue publicity, the team has a shot at the pennant, and I hope they win it. I owe it to my health and my mental well-being to resign.
I, as president of the New York Yankees, have accepted Billy Martin's resignation as manager. However, because we're all deeply concerned about Billy's physical and mental, emotional well-being, the Yankees stand ready to honor the salary commitments of Martin's contract in 1979.
The next day, Bob Lemon was named as manager, but 4 days later, in the Yankee tradition and in a script right out of Hollywood, the Yankees on Old Timers Day announced that Billy Martin would return as New York Yankees manager in 1980.
When I quit the other day, I called George and told him how I apologize for what was said. I did say it. I don't know why I said it. I was angered at the time. I had no reason to say it, and I feel very bad about it.
Billy Martin came to me after he had resigned. What he said to me showed me that he was a man who realized that he had maybe made a small mistake, and it was small in the total picture.
I'm a free spirit, and I'm going to try to do other things that George wants me to do. At the same time, he says he's going to try to be a little more free spirit, too.
1978, a very special year for the New York Yankees, the World Championship season. And Ed Figueroa and Greg Nettles joined me out here on the field. And first of all, Eddie, it was a good season for you. 20 wins. Is it special to be back?
Oh, yeah, it's always nice to be here in Yankee Stadium. It just bring me a lot of memories that I have here in 5 years. And I was lucky enough just to be with the New York Yankees and be in 3 World Series.
Greg Nettles, what was it about that ball club which made it so special? Because there was really a tumultuous group.
Well, it was. I mean, but we had won the pennant in 76 and 77, and we got so far behind the Red Sox in the middle of the year that I think we kind of relied on our veterans and our experience to get us back into the pennant race, and it helped that we had a bunch of veteran players.
Game 3 of the World Series for you, I guess one of the most memorable games in your career with those 4 dazzling stops. Still think about it?
Well, no, I don't really think about it much. My son has watched the tapes till they've gone bad on us, but you know, all I wanted to do was try to help us win and get the momentum turned for us in the series, and that big game we had helped.
Eddie, the comeback was something special. The Yankees down by 14 ball games. It looked like they were out of it, rallied back to beat out the Red Sox. What was that exciting last month like?
You know, I remember July 14, somebody told me that because we were 14 games behind that we never going to catch Boston. And I told this guy we will. And after that, we start winning. You know, we got a new manager in Bob Lemon, and he started pitching me every 4 days. He started pitching every 5 days. And from there, we went on to win the championship that year. It wasn't that easy, but we made it because we were positive that we can win the division, and we did.
Greg Nettles, what about the memorable playoff game in Fenway?
Oh, that was some game. You know, the best thing about that game is it was played the next day after the season's over. We didn't have time to think about it or have any pressure build on us. I mean, we just went right up there the next day and played a day game. And, you know, to us, it was just another game. It really was the 163rd game of the season for us. And fortunately, we won the game.
Lots of luck today. I think you need a little bit of luck.
All right. Oh, yeah, we always need luck.
Eddie, if you get on the mound, you're going to probably throw a lot of breaking stuff. We still wish you the best.
Thank you. After seeing this guy hitting the ball, I will.
All right, back upstairs to Dwayne and Tony.
All right, Bruce, thank you. The Yankees winning the 2nd American League playoff as they knocked off the Boston Red Sox in 1978 and went on to win their 22nd World Championship. Well, what a collection of talent down there. Not only the 78 Yankees, Tony, but it's always great to see the Yankee greats who are here today.
Whitey Ford, Joe D, Mickey Mantle, the Scooter's going to be here. Jim Turner, a name that may not be familiar, is here. He was a marvelous pitching coach in baseball for some 50 years. And, you know, I think another thing about this, it is no longer called Old Timers Day. It's the Upper Deck Heroes of Baseball. They play 26 of these around Major League ballparks, including up in the 2 towns in Canada, Toronto and Montreal, and BAT, an organization some of you folks may or not have heard of, the Baseball Assistance Team. Ralph Branca, famous name, Joe Garagio, Frank Slocum, the commissioner's assistant. Upper Deck pays $10,000 per game, and it goes to BAT, and they've already helped 150 members of the baseball family, former members of the Negro American Leagues, umpires, some who are down and out, and they keep it very quiet. I think that's very, very worthwhile, Dwayne.
Upper Deck in its 3rd year in sponsorship of this performance. We'll be back in just a moment to meet the heroes of baseball's intro.
Pack your bags and get ready to rock and roll.
Back at Yankee Stadium, the 1978 New York Yankees being honored this afternoon. And we're just moments away from the start of the competition provided by members of the 78 Dodgers, the Kansas City Royals, and the Boston Red Sox. And now, for the introductions of these 2 teams, let's go to the field and Frank Messer.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Yankee Stadium. Today's presentation of Upper Deck's Heroes of Baseball is also the Yankees' 47th annual Old Timers Day. Today, Upper Deck marks the 15th anniversary of the greatest comeback ever, staged by the battling Yankees of 1978. Many of the Yankee heroes of that season are here to again battle with the heroes of the Boston Red Sox, the Kansas City Royals, and the Los Angeles Dodgers, all of whom fell to the Yankees in the Yankees' march to their 22nd World Championship. And now, ladies and gentlemen, let's get on with the show. One of the original recyclers. He recycled from an outfielder to a pitcher and went all the way to the Hall of Fame as a Cleveland legend. He joined the Yankees as a scout, then had several terms as manager, including down the famous stretch run in 1978. Today, he returns to once again lead the Yankees against the foe. Let's meet and greet another old friend, Bob Lemon. In the 1978 playoff, our next guest had a fine view of the action as bench coach for the Red Sox. He had a 10-year career with the Sox and played some with Detroit and Washington. He was a fine infielder, a tough out, and the center of a couple of pretty good controversies as a player. Let's meet and greet an old Yankee rival and now friend, Johnny Pesky.
Well, the two managers, Bob Lemon and Johnny Pesky.
And now here's a fellow
Pesky,
who started his
remembered
career
for the
with the
1946
Yankees,
World
and in fact
Series.
was on the 1978
Enos
team
Slaughter's
until
dash
traded
to the
away.
plate. The Red Sox
His
and the
first
Cardinals.
major league hit was a pinch double in the 15th inning that set up a Yankee victory. He was 3 for 8 as a pinch hitter in 1977. Now he is back with the Yankees and serves in several roles, including using the gun. Del Alston.
Here's a fella thrilled to be here. Del Alston.
And now what could be sweeter for a rookie than to be in the World Series in his very first year?
Dale's disappointed they made him a coach. He wanted to swing the bat and steal a base.
With the Dodgers. He enjoyed a 7-year career in the majors and was twice in American League Championship Series with the White Sox and Kansas City Royals. Welcome him now, Rudy Law.
Good average hitter. A pretty darn good runner, too.
Yes, he can steal a base.
There's old Needle Nose right there. Johnny Pesky. He coached some of the Yankee ball players when he was a coach at Denver for Ralph Houck.
After his playing career ended, he went into broadcasting, did well, and is still doing well at broadcasting. Here is Jay Johnstone.
Jay's doing about 50 games or so for the Philadelphia Phillies. Of course, he could do it for any team because he played for almost all of them, didn't he?
Yeah,
he and Kemmer Brett.
He was everywhere.
In 1978, he was 15 and 8 with a .335 earned run average. He was in 3 National League Championship Series and 2 World Series. He pitched relief in 1978. A warm welcome for left-hander Doug Rao.
And a pretty good hitting pitcher, too, with that nice slow curveball.
A man who can step into the lineup and do the job offensively and defensively. Our next guest was the Yankee key in 3 championship seasons. Always regarded as a smart ball player, he proved it after his active career ended by becoming an executive. Here is that key, Fred Stanley.
Tony, now a good evaluator of talent and a guy who knows how important it is to play good defense on that infield.
Yeah, he is now head of the farm systems, or one of them, for the Milwaukee Brewers. So he moved kids like Pat Listash along, last year's Rookie of the Year.
He appeared in 537 games, of which 85 were starts. 1978 was one of his best years, with a 15-2 record and 10 saves. He pitched in 1 World Series and 1 Championship Series. Always a popular guy. Let's meet and greet Bob Stanley.
You talk about a rubber arm right there, huh? Out of the bullpen, he was pitching over 100 innings up in Fenway.
Fellow had it in spades. His versatility kept him in the majors for 10 years with the Giants, the Cubs, the Indians, and the Red Sox, which made him part of the famous playoff game. He played in the league championship game in 1971 with the Giants, and we welcome him today as a Red Sox, Frank Duffy.
Frank Duffy once traded for George Foster.
Will remember 1978 as long as he lives. It was his moment of crowning glory, and incidentally, the Dodgers will also never forget him. He was in the lineup because of an injury to Willie Randolph. He took charge and batted .438 with a .500 slugging percentage. Now running an internationally known baseball school, no one epitomizes the 1978 season more than Brian Doyle.
Dwayne, they have an interesting business concept. Of course, Denny, his brother, who's a pretty famous ball player in postseason play up in Boston. Blake runs the business, but the American Baseball Training Centers, you're going to franchise these things all over the world to teach kids how to play baseball and also how to act.
With the Dodgers, the Braves, the Orioles, and Pirates. He played in 4 games in the 1978 World Series. He was a career .286 hitter, and today is ready to play anywhere, anytime. Please welcome Lee Lacy.
Frank said ready to play anywhere, anytime, and that's a continuation of the way he played the game during his career.
How about Lee? His wife now is studying to be a doctor, a surgeon. Got 2 more years to go out in Southern California at Martin Luther College. So am I proud of her.
And during his Yankee years, joined the list of those hitting 3 homers in a game, 2 in 1 inning. Only Joe DiMaggio and Joe Pepitone did that as Yankees. Here's the big man from Texas, Cliff Johnson.
Johnson came to the Yankees from Houston in 1977, right at the trading deadline in June.
Still holds the major league record for pinch hit home runs.
After 5 years with the Cubs and Yankees, he moved to Kansas City and became a star. In his 9 years as a Royal, he put up enough numbers to be among the top 10 Royals in 9 categories. He was 111 and 78 in his 9 years at Kansas City. He appeared in 4 championship series and 1 World Series. He's also a pretty fair tennis player, I'm told. A big hello for Larry Gora.
I think Larry's still got part ownership of the golf course in the Kansas City area. We see him around the ballpark on occasion when we get to Royal Stadium.
He joined the Yankees in '78 and was a solid part of the bench. He always had a great glove and did some timely hitting. And now he enjoys traveling, especially back to New York. A nice hand for a great guy, Jim Spencer.
Jim Spencer, like the right field dimensions here, and of course a great glove at first base.
After helping the Yankees win the 1997 World title, our next guest was also involved in the playoff as a result of moving to the Red Sox as a free agent. He joined a list of such pitching immortals as Tom Zachary, Ralph Branca, Tracy Stollard, and Al Downing, each of whom yielded a famous home run. He threw the pitch that Bucky Dent hit for a 3-run homer. He's always welcome as a friend or foe, Mike Torres.
Yeah, terrific stuff. Took the ball all the time.
No one could ever go get them any better than he could. He was a standout in Baltimore before coming to the Yankees, whom he helped to a couple of titles with key hits in series competition. He can still play the outfield, and incidentally, he can still tell you all about it. Welcome, Paul Blair.
Well, what a center fielder Paul Blair turned out to be, and he saw lots of action in the postseason.
Had a chance to chat with him, with Ed Figueroa in the air, and Eddie said, just what I did that season, throw a high slider, and Paulie, you chase her down.
20-game winner 3 times. And in 1978, he was 21-17 with 40 starts, completed half of them, worked 295 innings, and pitched 4 shutouts. He had a career won and loss mark of 144 and 106. Ladies and gentlemen, here's Dennis Leonard.
Never forget one Saturday when he came back from reconstructive knee surgery, happened to be in the ballpark in Kansas City. They said he'd never pitch again after about 2 years off. He pitched one heck of a game on national TV.
Great durability for the Kansas City Royals pitching staff.
Since the Yanks that year needed every victory they could get. Let's greet a first-time old-timer, Raleigh Eastwick.
Sparky remembers him, doesn't he? Sparky Anderson, some of those terrific teams. Bill McInerney from the left side, Eastwick from the right side.
The Expos, the Reds, and in 1978 was the most effective DH and utility man with the Red Sox. It's a pleasure to have him with us today, Bob Bailey.
Bailey pinch hit. It was 0 for 1 in that Bucky Dent game. Butch Hobson was the DH that day.
For our baseball colleagues who have passed away since last year. From the Yankee family, Red Barber, Mark Koenig, Johnny Mize, Ben Chapman, Atlee Donald, Sal Magley, Tom Gorman, Tuck Steinbach, Oscar Grimes, Pete Previtt, Father Joe, Rod Scurry, and from baseball, Don Drysdale, Roy Campanella, Carl Barger, Chuck Connors, Billy Herman, Aurelio Lopez, Babe Phelps, Salty Parker, Chris Van Kuyk, Rube Walker, Stan Wozniak, and Larry Knapp. And now, ladies and gentlemen, please turn your attention to the Diamond Vision, where we pay a tribute to a fellow who will always be #1 in Yankee annals. If 1978 was an exciting year, then Old Timers Day of that year will never be forgotten when his return in the future was announced. Let us go back in memory and recall #1. ladies and gentlemen, sitting in a mezzanine box are some of our favorite ladies. Please meet and greet Mrs. Billy Martin. Mrs. Arlene Howard. Mrs. Eddie Lopat. And Mrs. Diane Munson with son Michael. And now, ladies and gentlemen, if you'll kindly turn your attention once again to the Diamond Vision for a special salute. In 1978, the Yankees were fortunate to have a great leader, both on and off the field. He was the team captain and one of the great competitors in sports. Before a year had passed, however, our captain left us in a tragic plane crash. Well, he didn't really leave, for he will live in Yankee annals and in the hearts of Yankee fans forever. Ladies and gentlemen, we salute our captain, Thurman Munson. if we may continue our introductions. When they talk of top operations for a ball player, this fellow's is always used as a prime example. In fact, some operations bear his name. After his injury, they said he would never pitch again, but he did, and did so very successfully. He had a fine career with the Yankees, with 6 teams other than the Yankees, 2 terms with the Yankees. He was a 20-game winner 3 times, and in 1978 with the Dodgers, he was 17-10 and beat the Yankees in 1 series game. A first-time guest, Tommy John.
TJ now does some work for Mr. Steinbrenner. He was in spring training in uniform.
Good, yeah.
He's going to have to have that knee taken care of. He's never going to pitch BP again, huh? He's something. The thrill we had on Anaheim, and Sally John was there, and then Travis. Wow. The Quicks here, folks.
Hey, Mickey Rivers.
Mickey Rivers.
So if he'll do his baton throwing that for us and give Jimmy Lawrence a couple lessons.
Stay down here where you belong.
This fellow was a solid outfielder who was always ready to play. In 1977, he played in every game and enjoyed a 13-year career. His big year was 1977, when he hit .317 with 14 triples. He's among the Royals' top 10 in 7 categories. The always ready Al Cowens.
Never heard much about him, but he could run, he could throw, he could hit with a little bit of power. He knew how to charge the mound once in a while, too, as I recall.
In 1978, he became the first native-born Puerto Rican to be a 20-game winner. In his first 3 years as a Yankee, he won 55 and lost 30. And now a successful businessman. Let's welcome back Ed Figueroa.
Restaurateur in Puerto Rico. The Mexican Grill and Sports Cantina.
When he made his debut with the Brewers, and then stayed around for 17 years with the Brewers, the Royals, Rangers, and Cardinals, but chiefly in Kansas City. He had .317 in 5 championship series and played in 2 World Series. In 1978, he had .357 against the Yankees. Always an effective hitter and catcher. Let's meet and greet Darryl Porter.
You see what we're doing there? 100 RBIs, 100 walks, 100 runs scored.
Great intensity behind the plate.
Gotta do it.
The deal was really not well received, but it turned out to be a key to several titles. This fellow was part of the deal and was a vital cog, whether starting or relieving. He was the winning pitcher in the first game played in refurbished Yankee Stadium and is still part of the family as a valued scout. Please give a big hello to the man known as Mr. Dirt, Dick Tidrow.
Dick did not pitch in the playoff game on October 2nd, the Dent home run game, but he tried to shut off Cleveland on Sunday, the 1st of October, and Cleveland beat him 9-2. Rick Waits pitched for the Indians.
A 15-year career, all but one as a Dodger catcher. A rugged receiver, he was also a dangerous hitter in the series. He had .298 in series competition and was twice an All-Star. Let's meet and greet the co-MVP of the 1981 World Series, Steve Yeager.
His catching ability forced him into that Dodger lineup. He battled Joe Ferguson out there for a while for a spot.
Next guest.
Occasional power.
For 7 years, he was the backbone of the Yankee bullpen. Climaxed in 1977 with his winning the Cy Young Award and then turning in a magnificent performance in both the Championship Series and the World Series. Always a fun-loving nonconformist, he was deadly serious on the mound. Let's once again welcome and have a laugh with Sparky Lyle.
slider he had, Al. And there's another one that was tough. This whole team, you could take them in those Conestoga wagons to open the West. That's how tough they were.
The Dodgers and the Giants. In 1978, he was with the Dodgers and participated in his second World Series. He was also in the 1974 series with Oakland. He can still go and get them. Have a nice hand for Billy North.
Look at he run.
There's Halcyon days were with those Oakland Athletics with Reggie and Catfish and the others. And go get the ball, throw it, and get on base, switch it.
Mark the swing. Our next guest was the power behind the swing with one of the great defensive performances in series history. His glove carried the day, gave the Yanks the moment to move to the 1978 World Championship. He had a fine 22-year career, belted 390 homers, leading the league in 1976. Among Yankees, he ranked 6th in homers, 10th in RBI, 12th in games, 15th in at-bats, and near the tops in quips. A big hand for Greg Nettles.
Here 1 second, gone the next with a quick quote, and I'm out of here.
Playing with him from 1969 through 82. He led the league in hits twice, won 4 Gold Gloves, made 8 All-Star teams, is among the Dodgers' top 10 in 11 categories, tops in RBI and doubles. He played in 6 championship series and 5 World Series. He had 356 in championship series play and 319 in World Series. MVP in 1974 and 78 All-Star games. Played in 1,207 straight games, 4th behind Gehrig, Ripken, and Scott. Injury in the first game of July 29th, 1983 ended the streak. He played the last 5 years in San Diego. A possible future Hall of Famer, great Steve Garvey.
Dwayne, he had a little bit to do 1 year with destroying the Chicago Cubs World Series chances, didn't he?
Yes, he did, as a member of the San Diego ball club after he left the Dodgers.
And was one of the stars of his era. He holds a major league record for sacrifice flies in a season. He's among the top 20 Yankees in 8 categories, and only 4 Yankee legends played more games than he. A clutch hitter, fine outfielder, and a fan favorite. It's a great pleasure to welcome this longtime Yankee, ladies and gentlemen, Roy.
Roy told me a little while ago we had a personal call from Mr. Steinbrenner with all the confusion going on, and he said Mr. Steinbrenner simply told him, let's talk, Roy, and we're going to have a conversation, and Roy's very anxious to get along.
Came in the winter of 1975. It gave them a steady, durable second baseman for the next 13 years. He was a big factor in the 1978 season, but was injured late in the year and missed all the postseason action. Only recently retired as an active player, he's back in the Yankee family in the front office. A big hand for Willie.
Johnny, you can introduce Willie by just saying class.
When you talk about Willie, you got to think of Frank White in those league championship series 3 consecutive years and the job they did defensively.
Nice things I could say about this next great player, but I have a feeling that by the time I read the first line on this card, you're going to drown me out, so I'm not even going to try. It was a perfect marriage. The Big Apple and Mr. October. Here's Reggie Jackson. moment, though, if you will, please. When he enters the Hall of Fame in a couple of weeks, Reggie will be wearing a Yankee cap. And now, ladies and gentlemen, we have invited a special guest today to give him an early birthday party. On August 6th, he will celebrate his 90th birthday and could probably do it by pitching an inning or two. He was 34 years old before making his major league debut with the Boston Braves, then pitched for 9 years. After that, he went into coaching until eventually he spent some 60 years in a baseball uniform. He pitched and coached for the Yankees and was always in as good shape as the pitchers he sent to the mound. It's a real pleasure to welcome and wish a happy birthday to the milkman, Jim Turner.
It's interesting how the legacy of people like Jim Turner get passed from generation to generation. Turner through Johnny Sain through Lee Mazzoni, who now coaches that great staff in Atlanta. That was a pioneer. Fellow even before him with England, Ben Tincup, a Native American who taught Jim Turner. His theories just keep going on.
For more years than most of us can remember. In February, he celebrated his 80th birthday, and he is still going strong. Ladies and gentlemen, a big hand, as I know you will give it, to the voice of the Yankees, Mel Allen.
How about that?
Sports fan?
Wow. Listen to those two voices, the late Barber, Mal, Vin Scully, who worked with them, Kurt Gowdy for a while.
Yep. How do you get better than that?
You don't.
I'll tell you something, ladies and gentlemen. We got a lot of celebrations to talk about this afternoon, because still in a state of euphoria after celebrating his 50th wedding anniversary right here, where he has spent more than 50 years as a player and broadcaster, this best known of many Yankee legends returns to mark today's ceremonies, the Scooters.
Seems to be some sentiment among the Veterans Committee, and I mean, not that Phil needs a booster on his side to promote him for the Hall of Fame, but sometimes politics enter in it, and he and Pee-wee deserve to be there. Pee-wee is, of course.
When Yankee pitchers are mentioned, this Hall of Famer is on top of the list. He's the all-time leader in games for a starter, strikeouts, victories, shutouts. Spent his entire career in pinstripes. Cy Young Award winner in 1961. 7-time All-Star pitcher. Let's give this native New Yorker a real Manhattan welcome, the chairman of the board, Whitey Ford.
Chairman of the board, you can still see Ellie sitting back there before that Yogi putting those fingers down for that great curveball.
There's really no need for me to read this next card. When you mention Whitey Ford, in the next breath, you have to mention one of the greatest of all time, Mickey Mantle. a man who helped put it all together should be recognized. The president of the New York Yankee Alumni Association, Jim Ogle.
Jim's a fellow who one day I hope will write the definitive book on Roger Maris. Of course, he puts this together along with John Fugazi and do a terrific job.
Yankees without whom no Old-Timers Day would be complete. Mr. 1.5. A big hand for Bob Merrill to sing America the Beautiful.
Please join me. Only in this country can we sit at this greatest stadium in the world, Yankee Stadium, and see the great athletes of today and the great athletes of yesterday. Please join me in singing America the Beautiful. Oh, beautiful for spacious skies, for amber waves of grain, for purple mountain majesties above the fruited plain. America, America, God shed his grace on thee and crown thy good with brotherhood from sea to shining sea.
Robert Merrill. Boy, what a great lineup we have here today. Talent from the 1978 club and before, as we see, what a trio.
And some who couldn't come, some for obvious reasons, some, of course, have their own personal reasons. Lou Piniella on the road with Seattle. And, of course, Bucky Dent, a coach for the Cardinals. Catfish and the Gator.
Yep, they have sons who are playing. Ron Guidry and Catfish Hunter.
That's a great team that Reggie and those guys beat, led by Bob Lemon at the end from August down. When you look at Burleson and Fisk and Rice and Yastrzemski and Lynn and Hobson and George Scott, and they didn't really collapse. I mean, they had a pretty good finish. A little lull while the Yankees were making their move from the middle of July on.
Well, only one other club was deeper out of it than the Yankees in the history of the major leagues. Of course, the Yankee, the 78 edition, an American League record coming from 14 games back in the middle of July. The miracle Boston Braves of 1914 were 15 games out on the 5th of July. But that 78 Yankee club made quite a run. So we're all set, just a few moments away from the action here, the Old Timers game. 78 Yankees against selected members of the Royals and the Dodgers and the Red Sox from that same year. And we'll be back with all the action. Yankee Old Timers Day from Yankee Stadium coming up following this. Back at Yankee Stadium, the Upper Deck heroes of baseball, the Yankee Old Timers Day game all set. And Figueroa is going to make the start. That's Jim Spencer manning first base for the Yankees to get this thing started. Willie Randolph.
I think Willie could play right now.
I think he could.
About September 1st, don't be surprised. He's been working out. Just a couple of years ago, he hit over 320 at a big league level.
Brent Stanley at shortstop. And, of course, Greg Nettles across the diamond at third base.
You want to start a quick debate? Who's the best, Cleat, Greg, or Brooks? Defensively.
Pick 'em.
Yeah.
Here's Roy White, Mickey Rivers, Reggie Jackson.
I'll put my money on Reggie hitting one out today.
Well,
He's been doing it in batting practice.
Yeah, I was going to say he'd sneak a few swings during BP. Cliff Johnson. He'll be behind the plate. And Ed Figueroa.
What a legacy of Puerto Rican ball players. You look at what's around right now. Bernie right here, the Yankees. Baerga, Alomars. You can go on and on. Sam
Simplizio's out here in the coaching box at first. That's Doug Rao, the Dodger left-hander, coaching third base. Johnny Pesky managing the collection of Dodgers and Red Sox and Royals. Bob Lemon managing the Yankees. Nice job by Frank Messer with all the ceremonies. Great to see Mel Allen again. And Rudy Law will lead off.
Neil knows Johnny Pesky. Not too bad of leadoff hitter. Talk about a guy getting 200 base hits a year. You think of Wade Boggs from Fenway, but Johnny Pesky prior to that a generation or so.
Rudy Law with the Dodgers. Time with the White Sox. Special ground rules here. No walks. No bases on balls. So you can work the count as much as you want. Figueroa came over. He won 19 games for the Yankees. Then in '78 won 20.
Very impressive ERA that year, below 3. Eduardo had some problems in postseason play. He pitched some good games, but couldn't pick up a win.
And after leaving the Yankees, went on to Texas and Oakland. What an effort by Spencer, just out of the reach off his mitt.
You see that, and you start thinking about Glenn Vernon, damn Yankees. Just one step short. Give me one more chance, would you? That's what happens. You miss the ball, they replace you at first base. Or did they? Somebody wanted to replace him.
Sparky Lyle ran out there to maybe position him a little differently. Frank Duffy, the shortstop. Hey, Stanley. Randolph, and Willie turns the double play. So a double play. Stanley, Randolph to Spencer.
Willie hasn't skipped a beat, has he? Quick feet. I hope Willie's going to be sent out on occasion or hang around spring training and tutor some of the younger Yankees. In fact, some of the older Yankees can be helped by Willie Randolph.
Now Steve Garvey. MVP in the National League in 1974.
A couple teammates right there, Rudy Law and Steve Howe.
And Mickey Rivers. That will take care of the opposition here in the first. Leadoff single, but a double play. Garvey flies to center. We'll be back. No score. The Old Timers Day game. Back at Yankee Stadium, we head into the bottom of the first. The Old Timers game. That's Dennis Leonard, starting, formerly of the Kansas City Royals.
How's that for instinct? He already reminds his first baseman Garvey, I'll be over to cover, don't worry about me.
Mickey Rivers hits one into center, left center, and it's going to drop in between Billy North and Rudy Law out there. So Rivers wastes very little time and drops a base hit into left center.
You forget of what a terror Mickey was on the bases. There's 70 bases 1 year in the Little League.
So with Rivers at first, Willie Randolph steps in. And he takes a strike.
In that playoff game in Boston, Mickey Rivers went 1 for 2 with a run scored. The Bucky Dent game. Of course, Willie wasn't playing.
Feels all right.
Doyle and
Hey, there goes Rivers. A little action here on the bases with a hit and run. Mickey Rivers and Willie Randolph.
Sparky's going to get mad at you, Mickey, all the time.
Lifts it into right. It's like Al Cowens. So Willie Randolph went the other way, but lifted it into right. Rivers still at first. Greg Nettles due to be the hitter. Right now, let's go to Bruce Beck, who's standing by with a guest on the field.
All right, Jim Spencer, Sparky Lyle came out there before. Did he give you some encouragement?
Well, he gave me a 9 on the dive and a 4.5 on the Richter scale.
Sparky bounced back real nice in that double play.
I know, that was great, wasn't it? I mean, Willie never lost it, but you know, when he come in, Jim says, "Did I bounce good?" I said, "You didn't bounce at all."
Sparky's still up to his old tricks, back upstairs.
Dive, 4.5 on the Richter scale. Hey, there's a base hit to the right side. Rivers will go to third at blazing speed.
I hope Bruce Beck's wrong and Sparky's up his old tricks. Is there a birthday cake in the house?
Nettles with a base hit, first and third. And the chanting you hear is for Reggie. Reggie going into the Hall of Fame this year.
I'm sure Dennis Leonard said, "Reggie, pull the ball, please."
You're going to get this one foul ball, and Garvey makes the catch. They wanted Garvey to let that thing drop. He just couldn't do it. Those competitive fire is still burning.
He got his fastball inside, didn't he? He took some extra BP yesterday. Frank Howard threw to him, then Eddie Napoleon. Willie Randolph took some extra BP. It was always great before those old timers game. You can just see Cobbs back in the late 50s, 60s. Kyle Hubble, Honus.
And Roy White pops it up. This is Duffy in from short to make the catch, and that retires the side. So a couple of hits, but both runners left on. Rivers at third and Nettles at first. And at the end of one, no score. The 78 Yanks and the Heroes are scoreless at the end of one inning. That's Dick Tidrow. He'll be taking over as we move into the second, taking over from Ed Figueroa. Figueroa gave up a base hit, but threw the double play ball.
Dick Tidrow was very popular in the Yankee clubhouse before he got suited up. A lot of media around him. They weren't really, I don't think, talking to him about 78. He is a pitching advisor consultant, keeps in touch with Gene Michael almost every day, and I'm certain they're asking him or trying to pick his brains as far as possible trades.
Darrell Porter leads off. So he takes it down. Nails that one foul. It's going to reach the upper deck.
Darrell and one of his former teammates, now the advanced coach for the Royals, Jerry Terrell, right outside of Kansas City. They run a baseball school. They take kids who've had some hard times and provide some counseling for them. It's been a nice venture for them.
And Porter distinguished himself both sides of the state of Missouri, Kansas City and St. Louis. He dominated that 82 National League Championship Series. Hit over 500 in the series. Tomahawks this one foul into the upper deck.
Never forget a day in Kansas City. Happened to be in the clubhouse on a Friday night when Darryl called a press conference and admitted to everybody that he had an addiction to drugs. It was quite an emotional time when he finally got his life straightened out and he's gone into helping people who have problems.
Hanging in there. Fouled that one at the feet of Cliff Johnson. So the count is full, 3-2. Paul Goveri is the home plate umpire. Out of Bayside, a math teacher at Holy Cross High School.
You know, fellow in an Angels uniform was part of that Royals team during those league championships years. The Yankees beat him 3 straight. Darryl was the catcher, but John Walton, the Duke, was in the bullpen. John was talking before the ball game about a key play in that final game before Chapman hit the home run where Collins was called out at second base. They protested the call. And George Brett coming up.
There's ball 5, but no walks. The rest of the umpiring crew, Leo Cooper at first in his 45th year of umpiring. Richie Mazzari at second base. Another one's fouled out of play. And out at third base, Saul Cantor, retired assistant principal in his 36th year of umpiring.
Tidrow making sure he doesn't hit a ball up the middle, isn't he? He keeps throwing it inside. Hey, little knuckleball.
This is really working the count. So Tidrow continues to stay in there on Porter. 1979, 20 homers and 112 runs batted in.
Put the extreme shift on him now.
They're going to have to put somebody in the upper deck.
This is going to be a unique shift in the infield because I think Puff is going to. There they go. They're shifting over to foul territory.
But Brian Doyle, who came in to play second base, is just inside the line. And Spencer's in foul territory, and they're moving him back.
Took him about 10 pitches to figure out the defensive alignment against Darryl, didn't it?
So that's some kind of shift. Tidrow, look at that. Tidrow's tired. He was out there fanning himself with his cap.
Reggie's on the line.
And look at Mickey Rivers.
He's playing dead right. This is a shift Ted Williams used to hit through. Lou Boudreau tried it out.
Roy White's the only man anywhere near the left side. Everybody else on the right side. This one hop and over the fence. Well, Porter just set up the defense with all those foul balls and then doubled the other way. So a leadoff double by Darryl Porter. Let's go to Bruce Beck, who's standing by on the field.
Dwayne, the question is, would that last ball have gotten over the head of Paul Blair?
Well, I'd like to think not. Maybe I'd have played him a little different than Mickey. He was pulling everything right now. Maybe I wouldn't have played him to pull like that.
Winner of 8 Gold Glove awards. What was the secret of playing in this ballpark and center?
Never forgetting where the sun is. The ball can get lost in the sun here, and you just try to remember where it was at all times and just play the ball accordingly. If you did that, you took care of business very good around here. But I just never had any.
All right, back upstairs. That's Tony and Dwayne.
All right, thank you, Bruce. Steve Yeager inserted into the lineup as the designated hitter for the Heroes. Leadoff double by Porter. Nobody out. base hit. Let's see, they're going to try to score Porter, and the relay throw, no throw. Stanley hangs on, and the Heroes take the lead, 1-0. So Yeager drives in the run. So a run, 3 hits for the Heroes here as we play in the second inning. Now Billy North hits. It's a foul ball.
Billy North, a part of that Oakland team with Reggie and Catfish and Fingers and all else, so it seemed like they're always fighting off the field. Billy was a part of some of that at times.
You got here late.
See, Tidrow will make the play to Spencer at first for the out. That moves Yeager into second base. So that's the first out in the second inning. And we'll bring up Bob Bailey.
Oh, Beetle, huh?
Bailey signed with the Pirates back in the early
bonus.
60s, and he was, I'm just going to say that, one of the big bonuses. They anticipated great things in Pittsburgh, and he stayed with the Pirates through the 66 season. Advances. So Bailey's out, third to first, and Yeager still trying to make the point that catchers can run. Advances after the play.
Look at Nettles. Greg's got a son. He's 14 now. He's a terrific golfer. I saw him 2 springs ago when Greg was coaching. A pretty good baseball prospect. A young teenager.
There's Al Cowens. 0-1. Just to loosen him a little bit. Al played on 3 division-winning clubs for Kansas City. A little with the Angels and the Tigers. Finished his career with the Seattle Mariners. And Mickey Rivers is there to handle this one. So the Heroes are finished in the second inning, but they pick up a run on a couple of hits. We're through an inning and a half from Yankee Stadium. 1-0 Heroes over the 78 Yankees. New pitcher for the Heroes, Larry Gura, takes over. Dennis Leonard, the former Kansas City Royal, started, and now Gura, who spent some time not only with Kansas City but with the Yankees, a little time with the Cubs, and he faces Cliff Johnson. First pitch is in there.
Look out, Cliff.
This is what Cliff Johnson loved to do, is swing that bat.
I don't know if he's more famous for all the pinch hit home runs, the record for the major leagues, or the time Billy asked him to just keep stalling when Ron Davis was on the mound and stepping out to rattle Davis, and I think it worked.
He strokes it into left, and that ball is going to be tracked down by Rudy Law. That's a nice running catch toward the left field corner by Law. Deserves a replay. Jim Spencer is going to be the hitter, and before he steps in, let's go down to Bruce Beck.
Thank you, Dwayne, and with me the man who made today all possible. 1978, and the reason the Yankees are world champions, Mike Torres, who served up that very famous home run in Fenway. Mike?
Well, yeah, I guess that's one of the reasons we're all playing this game here today, is I did give up that famous home run to Bucky, but looking back, it was really a great, 2 great teams playing one game that somebody had to win, somebody had to lose. Unfortunately, I was on the short end that year.
If you could change history, what would you have done different on that pitch?
I would have probably thrown the slider away from him, something that he couldn't have handled and pulled to beat me with in the late innings like that.
Well, at least you have a 77 World Championship ring with the Yankees, Mike.
Yeah, that's true. They can't take that away from me. So but all in all, it's good getting back, seeing everybody. We're all having a lot of fun with it, and hey, that's sports. Like I said, somebody has to win and somebody has to lose, and unfortunately, we were at the short end that year.
Yankee fans love Mike Torres for a variety of reasons. Let's go back upstairs.
Right in that ballgame, Mike Torres pitched 6 shutout innings. He went into the 7th with the Red Sox leading 2-0, and then he couldn't get out of the 7th. He ended up pitching 6 1/3, giving up 4 runs, all earned.
Jim Spencer singled, by the way. He had trouble keeping the ball fair. So Larry Gura slipped off the mound about halfway toward the foul line down the third base side. Gave him a delivery from there, and Spencer kept it fair and popped it into short right for a single. And now Paul Blair is hitting, and he pops it into right, and that's going to fall out of the reach of Cowens. Spencer's going to turn on the speed and motor into third.
Can you imagine how tired those pitching staffs had to be in '78 with Boston trying to hang on, and Lemon pitching Guidry with 3 days rest, knowing he had to win that game after losing to Cleveland on October 1st.
Here's Fred Stanley. Heroes have 1 run. Let's see. We're going to get a relief pitcher here. Doug Rao is going to enter the ball game. Rao, who started the afternoon coaching third, will now become the 3rd pitcher for the Heroes. That's it for Gura. Even though Gura had a lot of rest between appearances, he gives way here to Doug Rao. And Stanley takes that one for a ball.
With all the great pitchers that came through the Dodgers organization, they've always been super talent hunters in the pitching department. This guy went unnoticed. He won you 15 ball games.
Yep.
High percentage pitcher. Won and lost. He'd go to the bullpen on occasion.
From a little town west of Houston, Columbus, Texas. And Stanley found this one out of play. Fred started his big league career with the Seattle Pilots that year in '69. And he drives in the run. Spencer will score, and that ties the game. So Chick and Stanley with a base hit to pull the '78 Yankees even.
Stanley, one of those guys like the 2 Doyles, 1 year today, Brian, and remember Denny, who I think is in Europe with their baseball camp. They become heroes late. Remember Al Weiss from the Mets? Guys you don't hear of all year long, and all of a sudden they get called on to step in. Frankie Crissetti did that in the old Yankee ball club years ago, and he was unnoticed.
Now Del Alston is hitting for Rivers and strokes it into right. That's going to go all the way to the wall. Paul Blair is going to score. Stanley will go to third and make the turn but hold. So Del Alston comes up with a 2-base hit and gives the '78 Yanks the lead.
Notice how judiciously he ran the bases. Pull a muscle in the trigger finger for that speed gun, and be lost for the season.
There's Brian Doyle. He strokes it foul.
For years, the Doyles used the Red Sox complex in Winter Haven for their schools, and boy, they've spread out. They're international. They travel all over the world. I said, "You been to Australia yet?" And after seeing Mark Hutton yesterday, he said, "No, but we're going there." He said, "We've had a lot of Australian kids at our school in Florida."
He drives this one foul. Oh, we've seen a lot of pull hitters today. Ryan, the series hero of '78 against the Dodgers, started all 6 games at second base and hit over 400.
They are marketing indoor baseball facilities where you can actually play games, not just batting cages. Some of the fields that the Doyle will be franchising, looking at Major League ball players, 400 feet to dead center field. So it's an interesting concept.
That's going to be a sacrifice fly. Stanley scores. Alston goes to third. And the Yankees have a 3-1 lead. Jimmy Key taking all this in from the Yankee dugout. Now Nettles will get another at bat. Greg takes the ball. The Yankees have scored 3 here in the second to take a 3-1 lead.
Greg got a chance to hit one out too, not this time though.
He pops it up. This is Lacey.
With Reggie in the on-deck circle waiting another whack.
So the Yankees scored 3, and we've completed 2, with the 78 Yanks leading 3-1.
Welcome back to Special Old Timers Day at Yankee Stadium, and Steve Garvey joins me. Steve, the Dodgers had that 2-0 lead over the Yanks in the '78 World Series. How did it all turn?
Well, it was just a great play by the Yankees, and of course, when you got Colton, Jackson swinging and fielding, it's going to be a long series, even though you're ahead. But that's the way it happened. 77, 78, the Yankees had our number, and then 81, we turned the tide, and it was destiny for us.
You know, you played 1,207 games in a row, a National League record. What about Ripken going after the all-time Gehrig mark? How do you think he should approach this?
Well, I'm a big fan of his. I know what it takes. And he's a leader. He's one guy that wants to play every game just like his contract says, and he drives in key runs, plays good defense, his average is down, but he should go out there every day he wants to. He's a great example for everybody in baseball.
All right, I know you're very focused. You better get back to this ball game.
That's right. It's a great day. The Yankee organization does a wonderful job, and it's a pleasure to be here.
Back upstairs.
All right, thanks, Bruce. Lee Lacey's going to lead off against a new Yankee pitcher, Raleigh Eastwick.
Is that Senator Garvey? Didn't he have aspirations at one time to run for a seat?
Lacey, a high fly ball, short center. And that's Paul Blair out there who makes the catch.
Incidentally, the fellow who started the game, Dennis Leonard, against former Yankee greats, he started the first game of the league championship series. Remember, it was 3 out of 5 back then when they played Kansas City against Jim Beattie. And I was a farm director for the Seattle Mariners.
Rudy Law up there takes a rip. Eastwick and fouls it.
Seems a long time ago, but those were the embryonic stages of the Toronto Blue Jays and the Seattle Ball Club. Toronto lost 102 and Seattle 104. All of a sudden, Lou may have a chance this year.
That's right.
He may have a chance in the division. Toronto's been up near the top or at it for a lot of years.
That's a foul ball. Right on top of that play. The Yankees are leading here 3-1. They exploded for 3 runs in the second inning. Inslee Mulin's on to watch the action as the Yankees prepare to meet the California Angels later.
A little while ago, I saw Mark Connor sitting out there when they're having the ceremonies and the picture with all the stars gathered. And Mark, a great Yankee fan, the bullpen coach now with his video cam out.
Oh, lifts it into left. It's Del Alston out there, and Del puts it away. And Scott Kaminecki taking advantage of the presence, maybe, of some of these veterans next to Sparky Lyle. Pitcher could learn something from those two guys, Tidrow and Lyle. Some of it you could use and
Tidrow,
polite conversation.
Yeah, Tidrow and Lyle taught Ron Guidry an awful lot when Ronnie was in the bullpen for a while.
Ground ball headed to short. Stanley and a nice pick over at first by Jay Johnstone, who's taking care of that position now, and it's a 1-2-3 third. So we've gone through 2.5 here. The 78 Yankees leading the Heroes 3-1. Back at Yankee Stadium, Reggie Jackson is scheduled to lead off here in the bottom of the third. Mike Therese is the new pitcher. Therese taking over, and Reggie, you can see, went about a third of the way out to the mound to say something to Mike Therese.
I think Mike said to him, "I'm going to knock you down," and Reggie said, "Don't get too close there. Make it way over the top."
Well, the Yankees came up with 3 runs in the second inning, and now Reggie Jackson, they're against Mike Therese. Look at that, way over the top of his head, and Jackson's set to go to the mound. Jackson and Therese. Shake hands and go back to the corner.
Reggie in that playoff game when Torres started up in Fenway went 1 for 4 with a run scored and 1 RBI. Which didn't hurt his Mr. October image, huh?
Reggie bounces one through the right side, so he's on to start the bottom of the 3rd inning. 78, a special year for the Yankees, and maybe Reggie Jackson set the tone for that. First pitch in 78, Reggie Jackson hit it out.
Was that Wilbur Wood? Knuckleball left-hander for the White Sox with those flashy black uniforms.
Reggie bars all over the field.
Hey, they're coming back. Did you see that?
Yep, I saw that.
He's gonna out of Pennsylvania, I believe.
Roy White takes this one back into center field. Willie North handles that one.
Reggie Bars will never outsell M&M Candy, I'll tell you that, after that 61 season.
Oh, man.
And Roger and Mickey never got a cent. Bob Stanley. Stanley pitched the 3rd of an inning on that October 2nd ball game. With 2 hits, a run. That one was earned. You can remake that ball sink
somehow. What do you mean by that?
I say make him a pitching coach. If you got a marginal prospect, give him to Bob Stanley. You'll think of something.
See, Stanley was still working to build that cap over as he makes a delivery to Cliff Johnson low. He fouls it out of play, so we've seen Leonard and Gura and Rao, Therese, and now Bob Stanley. Headed to short, out at second, and Lacey will turn it to Garvey. So it's a 6-4-3 double play off the bat of Cliff Johnson, and that will conclude today's action as the 78 Yankees have beaten the Heroes 3-1. So that 78 Yankee club still a championship team. Reggie Jackson and Al Cowens.
Thank you all. Next big day for Reggie. Going to be up at Cooperstown.
As he goes into the Hall of Fame. A lot of fun here and a lot of memories stirred. A lot of fun by these two teams as they renew old acquaintances. And some very stirring moments as well. Bruce Beck will be back in just a few moments now with some interviews and a look back 10 years ago today, the Pine Tar incident. We'll have all of that coming up in just a few moments. The final, 78 Yankees 3 and the Baseball Heroes 1. Complete. The Yankees Old Timers Day. 3-1. The 78 Yankees, world champions that year, have defeated the combined force of the 78 Red Sox and the Kansas City Royals and the Los Angeles Dodgers. Now Bruce Beck is ready, standing by in our studios below. Bruce.
All right, thank you very much, Dwayne. Reggie, it goes to show that the 78 ball club is still tough.
It was a comeback, too, in typical fashion.
What about the emotions of today? I looked over at you several times during the introduction and during some of the tributes, and I noticed several times that those eyes got pretty swollen.
Well, I always enjoy being around the fellas that, I guess, make the game, have made the game, and really make you appreciate it the way it should have been played. And you see Joe D. and Mickey and Whitey and those kind of people. And then we had a few people that didn't play. Clete Boyer was here, and Bobby Mercer sits up there and in the radio booth or television booth. And you know that, they really exemplified what the game should have been all about and should be all about. You see the the scoreboard and you watch the film of Billy Martin, and you just kind of wish he would be here, because it'd be nice to see him. In the same way with Thurman Munson, it'd just be really nice to see those fellas and have a good time with them. And, you know, even the tough times that we all had, when you see them again and see them now, it just would be very special. So you miss those people.
What are your greatest memories of that turbulent but exciting '78 season?
George came in the clubhouse one day around August the 1st or the middle of July and told us he was going to back up the truck and take it over to Jersey and dump it on the dump and get rid of all of us if we didn't start playing better.
And you responded.
Well, you know, I mean, you know, George had his own style, you know, and I don't know whether that, you know, was the reason that we caught on fire. You know, I would just say that, you know, he was part of it. And all the rest of the players that did well, Goose Gossage, and, of course, the incredible season that Ron Guidry had, and, you know, Greg Nettles and Bucky and Eddie and all the fellas. It was a very special time.
People forget that despite the fact that the Yankees won the '77 World Championship, you were underdogs in '78 going in against the Dodgers, and you were down 2-0 before you came back and rallied.
You know, that's news to me. I would have never thought we were underdogs. I do know we were down 2-0, and I came back here, and I was walking down the street with a friend of mine, and I told him, I said, you know, we're going to win tonight. We're going to win the series, and we're going to win all 4. And I said, if I was a betting man, I'd like to bet $10 it all would happen. And it did. I wasn't smart enough to make a bet, though.
Reggie, next stop, Cooperstown, and you're going in with a Yankee cap. Why?
My greatest moments are here. This is where I feel most welcome. You know, I spent some time in Oakland. I had a great time in Oakland. It was some very special days there for me. I appreciated the time that I had in California. I was there 5 years. I was just 1 year in Baltimore. But the 5 years I had here were the most special in my career. I reached the pinnacle here. And then whenever I've come back to town, the fans have always accepted me, you know, as family, as one of their own. And I thought it was just the right feeling for me to go in as a Yankee.
Well, we wish you the best of luck on your induction into Cooperstown. I know a lot of New York fans will be there with you in spirit.
Thank you.
Mr. October, Reggie Jackson, a big part of the festivities today at the stadium. The Yankees, in typical fashion, coming from behind to win Old Timers Day 3-1. They were down 1-0 early, but they rallied. And Reggie Jackson, just a part of the exciting festivities here at Yankee Stadium. Now, we talk about 1978, and there are still many images and many memories we want to share with you.
I want to find out next year if we get in this series. I want to know if we're going to be underdogs again. Underdogs? This year, yeah. You know, we won 3 games in New York. We were under game when the series started. We came back here and we were underdogs.
That's right. And it was
like the favorite.
When Thurman came to the ballpark when the series started one day, he said, you know, I wouldn't mind going home and let the Dodgers, you know, not let the Dodgers win, but it just was embarrassing to us that we were the world champions and we're underdogs. You know, oh, why do we have to be underdogs? We're good too, you know.
To Yankees Magazine video offer, Yankee Stadium, Bronx, New York, 10451.
Come a little closer.
It's the Yankees and the California Angels today at Yankee Stadium. Also a day we're honoring the Yankee team, which 15 years ago won the World Championship. But you know, there's a 10-year anniversary of sorts at the stadium today. The 10th anniversary of the infamous Pine Tar game between the Yankees and the Kansas City Royals. I wonder how much this ticket stub is worth today. In any event, it is one of the most famous games in club history, and right now it deserves another look 10 years ago to this day. Let's watch. The Yankees versus the Royals, July 24th, 1983. When the day was over, it would forever be known as the Pine Tar game. In the bottom of the second, 1-0 Kansas City, and Dave Winfield launches a rocket off of Bud Black. A 440-foot blast into Monument Park to tie the game at 1.
Winfield hitting one into the Yankee bullpen.
In the bottom of the sixth, 3-1 Royals. Don Baylor drives one towards the same spot, landing in front of the 430-foot sign. Bert Campaneris and Lou Piniella score, and we're tied at 3. The next batter, Dave Winfield. He rips one again by Brett at third and into left. Baylor scores, and it's 4-3 Yanks. Dale Murray pitched 3 1/3 scoreless innings in relief of Shane Rawley, setting up this fateful play.
Uh-oh. That's gone. George Brett has just homered, and Billy Martin and the Yankees want the bat.
As George Brett hit the home run and was circling the bases, Billy Martin came out on my shoulder and says, "You have to call him out, pal. He's got too much pine tar." So I looked at the bat, and our sight line for 18 inches, which is what an illegally batted ball is, for pine tar, is our trademark of the bat. And he had pine tar about 6 or 7 inches past the trademark. So I called the crew together to make sure that two things: that we were in accordance of the rule, that I was interpreting the rule correctly, and that I was interpreting the bat correctly, that they had too much pine tar. So we determined, the four of us determined that it was, but we would go back and measure it on home plate, which is 17 inches across. And if it was more than 5 or 6 inches, then we would call him out. So we went back to home plate. It was about 6 or 7 inches, 8 inches maybe, more than the 17 inches of home plate. So we determined that we were going to call him out. Joe Brinkman, the crew chief, says, "You want to call him out or you want me to?" And I said, "No, I have the plate. I'll call him out."
So they might be going to call George Brett out.
Well, the Yankees win it. He's out.
Yes, sir.
Brett is out. Look at this. Brett is out. And
he's steaming mad.
He is out and having to be forcibly restrained from hitting plate umpire Tim McClellan. And the Yankees have won the ball game 4-3.
I was a little closer to the situation being behind the plate. The bigger thing that I remember is that pitch that Goose got up a little bit and Brett hitting the home run. And in the confusion, I actually forgot about the situation that we were supposed to check the bat. So a little irony to the whole situation.
Now, was this something that Billy Martin had carefully checked out for a period of time where you guys were really going to go analyze this bat and just waiting for the right spot?
Well, actually, I think it was Greg Nettles that brought up the situation prior, about a week before in Kansas City, and Reggie was aware of it. Billy was aware of it, and it really didn't. George didn't hurt us in Kansas City, so it kind of got put in the back burner. Then all of a sudden, he hits that big 3-run homer off of Goose, and then that's when we used it, and I'll tell you, the reaction was unbelievable.
The incident itself was only the start of a month of arguments, protests, and legal battles over Lee McPhail's ruling. The game was finally completed 25 days later on August 18th. The Royals won it 5-4, but few people present will ever forget the pine tar game.
We've talked about it, and I think this is the biggest umpiring decision that has ever been, and Joe Brinkman says in his 26 years, and I'm sure almost in the history of baseball.
Your back.
Heroes of baseball at Yankee Stadium this afternoon. What a day in the Bronx, an emotional and fun-filled afternoon. And coming up shortly, it's the Yankees and the California Angels. You know, in the year 1978, The Deer Hunter was the best motion picture. It won the Oscar. 1978 marked the first successful transatlantic balloon flight. Miss Ohio won the Miss America pageant. Grease and Superman were the top movies of the year. Gary Player won the Masters. In horse racing, Affirmed won the Triple Crown. The Cowboys beat the Broncos in Super Bowl 12. And, of course, the New York Yankees captured the World Championship. And joining me, a couple of the other members from that Yankees memorable team, Roy White and Willie Randolph. Guys, nice to see you.
All right, good to be here.
First of all, Willie, it was a very emotional pregame ceremony, and a lot of you guys just watched that board, and I saw tears coming down your eyes, and I asked Reggie about it earlier, and he said there's something special about wearing the pinstripes.
Oh, definitely, most definitely. Spent 13 years, as you know, and just being on all those great championship teams and playing with great guys like Roy and Reggie and Thurman, just brings chills to your spine. Watching the clip of Thurman really was just too emotional to deal with at that time. But a lot of fond memories, and this is a great day. Good to be here.
Roy, what did Thurman mean to the chemistry of that ball club?
Well, Thurman was one of the important parts to the chemistry of the ball club. Thurman had like 10 years there, and I think most of the players on our ball club looked at Thurman as the leader. You know, he was the guy that you wanted up there with the winning run on second base to get that key base hit.
Roy, tell us about the home run that you hit in Game 4 of the American League Championship Series against Kansas City.
I think the game was 1-1 at the time. Just a tie ball game, and Dennis Leonard was pitching in the 6th inning, I guess bottom of the 6th. I hit the home run off of him just inside the pole. Didn't go very far in there, but it was far enough. But at that time,
I didn't think it was a pressure moment because the game was tied and we still had 2 or 3 innings to go. The next day, I think I had a bigger hit, and that was a single that was in front of a home run by Thurman Munson. And it was a single with 2 strikes. I went to 3-2 on Paul Splitter, or fouled off about 5 pitches, and then hit a single up the middle. Then Thurman came up and hit it into the bullpen in left center to win the ball game.
Willie, you must have some mixed feelings about 78 because you had the injury, and Brian Doyle did such a great job coming off the bench to help the ball club, but I know you want to be there when the game's on the line.
Well, it was kind of bittersweet. But what got me through that whole series was the fact that I look back in retrospect, and it was on the last day before the season, I pulled a hamstring. We beat out a ground ball single. That run went on to be the winning run subsequently, and we won that game. We actually lost the next day. We set up a tie. So what kind of got me through the series was the fact that if I wouldn't have busted in on that play and beat that ball out, maybe we wouldn't have made it there. But Brian did a tremendous job, MVP of the World Series, and I still got the ring, so I still feel pretty good.
That's most important. Roy, a lot of controversy about whether you would be here at the stadium today or not. How did it work out that you did play in this Old Timers game?
Well, I guess the key thing was like last night. I was at the ballpark for an appearance, and John Fugazi got a hold of me, and we talked before the game, and I said that if he could get a hold of George, on the phone some kind of way, and get a reassurance from him, then I would come out and play. And he said, well, don't leave the ballpark until I get a hold of him. And he was able to find George in San Antonio, Texas. And George over the phone said that he wanted me to be here, that he wanted me in the game, and that him and I would sit down together and talk about any kind of difference that we might have had.
Does there need to be some discussion between the two of you to iron out whatever difficulties there are?
Yes, I'd like to, because in the 9 years since the mention of the Dave Righetti deal with Japan, and that I was possibly a part of, trying to get Dave to go to Japan to play with the Tokyo Giants, that was something that was kind of false, was never true, and I never had a chance to speak with him about it personally and tell him about it, so I think that should be done.
Well, it's hard to believe that it's 15 years since that championship team. Willie, you still look very young. But guys, congratulations, and it's wonderful to see you all here at the stadium today.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good to be here.
Roy, good luck to you.
Okay, thank you.
All right, we're going to take a short break. We'll come back and we'll get tuned up for today's game between the Yankees and the Angels. It is a wild game, and it will be some wild action. Here's a look at some earlier festivities today. It was special. We'll be back. Yankees against the California Angels this afternoon in Game 3 of the 4-game series. It'll be Scott Kamenicki on the hill for the Yankees. His record 4-3 this year. His ERA 3.94. He has pitched well recently. He'll be taking on Scott Sanderson, who after a terrific start has now fallen to 7-10. His ERA has ballooned to 4.30. The race in the American League East, well, once again, 5 teams juxtaposed in the standings, and the Yankees are right there, tied for first, along with Boston and Toronto. Baltimore is now 1/2 game out of first place, and Detroit, which has lost 5 in a row, has fallen to 5th, with the Indians still believing they have a shot. They are 7 1/2 games back. Last night at the stadium, the Angels took on the Yankees, and Buck Showalter had to be nervous with a rookie on the mound, Mark Hutton. 1-0 Angels in the second, and Mike Stanley just keeps on rolling, jumping on a Langston fastball, a solo shot to left, his 4th homer in 6 games, his 16th of the year. We're tied 1-1 in the 6th. Here's something you don't see often. Don Mattingly can't handle Mark Hutton's pickoff throw for an error. It's 2-1 Angels, but the big rookie got it together, striking out Chad Curtis. And then Damian Easley to end the 6th. 8 innings of work, 3 hits, 2 runs, 5 strikeouts for the big Aussie. Bottom of the 6th, after a Tardival ground out tied it, Bernie Williams smokes one past Langston into center. Mattingly churns and scores, and the Yankees lead it 3-2. The next batter, Paul O'Neill, he singles to center. Mike Stanley scores easily, a 3-run 6th, and the Yankees have a 4-2 advantage. Steve Farr pitched a perfect 1-2-3 9th. He got his 19th save of the year, and Mark Hutton recorded his first major league victory. The final, Yankees 5, the slumping Angels 2. Quite a performance by the 23-year-old Hutton. 8 innings of work. He was in trouble in the first inning, but after that, he basically breezed. 117 pitches. He did walk 4. He struck out 5. A heck of a debut for Hutton. A look at the other American League scores from yesterday. Boston won their 8th in a row with the 6-5 win over Oakland. Texas 6-5 over Toronto with a 3-run rally in the 7th. Baltimore beat Minnesota. Fernando Valenzuela now 4-0 since June 30th. Kansas City a 7-6 winner over Detroit. They've won 3 in a row. Milwaukee 3-2 over Chicago. Greg Vaughn a 2-run homer in the 9th. And Cleveland, with Carlos Baerga pacing the way with 4 hits, knocked off Seattle 9-4. So the American League West looks like this right now, with Chicago leading Texas by 1.5 games. Kansas City 2 games off the pace. California has fallen to 7 games back. Coming up shortly, Dwayne Stats and Tony Kubek as the Yankees and the Angels get set to go on a perfect day in the Bronx. A bit hot, but it is good baseball weather. Stay with us at the stadium.
Back at Yankee Stadium, the Yankees and the California Angels get set to meet in Game 3 of this 4-game series. The Yankees against the California Angels. Scott Sanderson against Scott Kamenicki. With Tony Kubek, I'm Dwayne Stats. Nice to have you with us this afternoon. Well, the Yankees had a big lift last night, Tony, from the 23-year-old right-hander Mark Hutton, and hope to get more of the same from Scott Kamenicki this afternoon.
Go back to last night, and really a big help, as you said, Mark Hutton. We talked to Buck Showalter, Tony Cloninger before the game, and when Mark Hutton came out, was he nervous? Well, they say he's a cool Aussie, but they were worried about his velocity. They checked with Dal Alls. They said he's throwing about 90. Now, that's not bad. He came out the second and he was throwing 94, topped out at 95. And Tony Cloninger said they think they'll see more from him and velocity in Detroit.
And Scott Kamenicki, who is 4-3 overall, is 4-2 since coming back from the short stint he had at Columbus, and has been a heaven sent, really, for this starting rotation.
Doesn't sound like much, but he won 2 games in June. He's already won 2 games in July with another chance today, and that's a big plus.
Yankees and the Angels, and we'll be back with all the action following this. New York Yankees baseball is brought to you in part by Toyota. I love what you do for me, Toyota. Bobby Munoz out of the ball game as Steve Farr takes over. 2/3 of an inning for Munoz. And our MCS Canton, great teamwork play. The line drive off the bat of DeSarcina. Kelly had a couple options there, and as we mentioned, if he had needed it, he could have gotten 3 there, settled for 2. The line drive double play that got the Yankees out of the jam.
Should have taken it unassisted. All he's trying to do is pad Gallego's fielding percentage. Bobby Munoz, I don't think he threw the ball that well again today. He had some control problems. Maybe he needs more work.
Tim Salmon leads off against Steve Farr by looking at the first pitch for a strike. Well, the Yankees have the veteran Farr in here against the middle of the order. 35th time for Farr, 1-2 with 19 saves. Ground ball to third. Boggs makes the play. 1 gone in the 9th.
Steve Farr, that great run of 17 consecutive save opportunities converted. Hasn't had a save, what, for about 8 opportunities till just yesterday.
Now Chili Davis, who has accounted for all 3 of the California runs with his 13th home run of the year. That came in the 7th, right down the right field line.
And it came off a pitch that we believe was a changeup, which could be construed as an unusual pitch to Chili Davis at that part of the ballgame, but it wasn't in a good spot. And it stayed inside and up. I guess sometimes it's not the pitch selection, it's the pitch location. If he gets it away, Kamenicki, might have been a fly ball or a ground ball to second base.
Counts a ball and a strike here. And he went. He tried to stop but could not. And the counts a ball and 2 strikes. Joe DiMaggio here for those pre-game ceremonies, the old timers game. Enjoying this one. You talked about the lack of strikeouts for DiMaggio the other night.
Did you look it up?
I looked it up.
Yeah, it's incredible for a career.
A bouncer foul. The most he ever struck out was his rookie year, 39 times.
And you look at his home runs and strikeout for his career.
Yep.
He did not strike out many more times than the number of home runs he hit.
Yep. It's incredible.
One of those guys, just like Ted Williams, said, you ever know when that slider started coming a little bit more? He said, then I finally had to stop pulling the ball and go the other way a little bit. Nobody adjusted.
1 ball, 2 strikes the count to Chili Davis. 2-2.
Steve tried to circle the outside part of the plate with that breaking ball. Get Chili Davis flat-footed.
Yankees trying to win their 7th game on this homestand. At the moment, they're half game behind Boston. It'll be a game back in the loss column. And he shot the inside part and missed.
That stretch where Steve Farr saved 70 consecutive. His control was absolutely perfect with that fastball. He could throw it anywhere he wanted to.
Here it is, 3-2. He got it. Strike 3 call. Chili Davis taking a pitch on the outside corner for strike 3.
Remember the pitch before that we talked about? Fastball moved him off the plate. This one is near the black.
Take a look in slow motion.
A case where the pitch before this one, inside cutter, set this pitch up.
Now Myers, a ground ball to Mattingly. He's going to make the play unassisted, and the Yankees have beaten California 5-3. The Yankees pick up their 55th win. 1-2-3 in the 9th inning. As Steve Farr comes on to save it for Scott Kamenicki. Another impressive performance for Kamenicki in the 6th inning plus. Hal Munoz and then Farr to close it. The Yankees have defeated the California Angels 5-3. For the Yankees, they're now 7-3 on this homestand. The Angels have lost 8 in a row. Scott Sanderson will suffer the loss. Sanderson continues to struggle. His record drops to 7-11, and he has lost 8 in a row.
And it's a tough job for Buck Rogers to try and keep the spirits of this young ball club up, who are really in pennant contention in the West. No, it's not a great division until this road trip. Kind of fading.
Well, the Yankees 55-44 now as the Angel record slips to 44-51. They are 1-9 for their road trip. This is the worst second half start a California club has ever had. Kamenicki picks up the victory and a save. That's number 20 for Steve Farr. The final score 5-3. The Yankees over California.